On to section 5 of chapter 5, where we're going to work with exponents again, and we want to write in only positive exponents. Okay, a little review before we start, and we went over this in the lesson. A to the negative n is equal to 1 over a to the positive n. So bringing the exponent across the division bar here changes its sign. So that's the key. So a conversion of this would be 1 over 5 to the second, which is 1 over 25. And we said in an earlier lesson that if you have a fraction to a negative exponent, you can convert that to 3 over 1. Flip that. The negative sign is still there, but now the exponent becomes a positive 4. And since we're raising a negative sign to the fourth power, an even power, it becomes positive. And 3 to the fourth, we've used that a lot lately, is 81. Now here, this is just another way of writing fractions. This becomes 1 over 4 plus 1 over 5, which will equal the common denominator of 20. Multiply this one by 5, so that is by 5. This by 4, so that is by 4. So you get the fraction now, 9/20. Now I'm going to clear this up so I have a little more room. In number 7, again, these are fractions. 1 over 7. Plus 1 over 3. Common denominator, 21. Multiply this by 3, that by 3, this becomes 3. Multiply this by 7, this becomes 7. So 10/21. Here, this is easy. We're just going to move it across the division bar, and it becomes p to the 7th. Now this then becomes 1 over, moving that down, and simplifying that. 4 to the third is 64, x to the third. Clear that up. Again, you can always pause the tape or go back. This will become this in the numerator, so it becomes 5x in parentheses to the fourth. 5 to the fourth is 6/25, x to the fourth. Remember, here we're multiplying this exponent of 1 by 4. And I'll move it up for the next one. Now, as you look at number 8, notice you can do some canceling or modifications internally. Here I want positive exponents, so I'm going to take this x to the negative 5, bring it down, it becomes a positive 5, becomes x to the 7th. Y to the third I'm going to bring down, that's a negative 3 now, and that gives me the 6. So it's a little easier to handle this way. 1 squared is 1, and then 7 times 2 is 14, and 6 times 2 is 12. And we'll clear that. Now, 4 to the second is 16 times 3 times, now 5 to the 0 power is 1. So this is going to be 48. Now, let's do this one here. This is going to be 8 x to the 8th here over x to the 15th. Multiplying that. Now we have that. We're going to simplify that by subtracting 8 from 15, and you get x to the 7th. And we'll clear this up. Now this is going to be a 2 times 4 is 8. B 3 times 4 is 12. C times 1 times 4 is 4. Over. And now this is going to be 3 to the negative 2. There's a 1 right there. So I'm multiplying that 1 by the negative 2. This becomes a now to the 2nd power. Because we respect a negative 1 times a negative 2, the signs become positive there. And this is going to be b to the negative 2. Now, we want to simplify if we can. This 3 to the negative 2 goes up now and becomes a 9. We subtract 2 from 8, and that becomes a to the 6th. We bring this up, and it becomes positive, so that becomes b to the 14th. And it's c to the 4th. Okay. And we'll move it up. I'll talk you through number 12 here. I wrote some of it out. So here we have a negative 5 that's raised to the negative 3 power. So there's my negative 5. And I guess I should put that in parentheses because the negative is included. Then x to the 1st times a negative 3. Y to the negative 4 times negative 3 gives you a positive 12. And then this x to the negative 1, y to the negative 2 times negative 1 gives you y to the 2nd. All right, then I'm going to take this down below, and it becomes a negative, that down below, but I'm going to, since it's an odd power, I'm going to take the negative, and this expression is negative. And then I bring my x to the, I guess this one, negative 3 down. That becomes a positive 3. So that leaves me with x to the 2nd. I bring this up and subtract 2 from there. Gives me y to the 10th. Now, what is this? Well, this is 125. So your final answer will be a negative y to the 10th over 125 x squared. So that's just becoming this. Wow, lots of stuff in that one. Now in doing these next few, again, looking at the lesson would be beneficial. But to put a number in scientific notation, it's just a matter of putting what you have there to become a number between 1 and 10. And then we record the number of places, we move the decimal, and if it's a small number, it's going to be times 10 to the negative number of places you move the decimal. So let's watch it here. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's going to be negative 6 power. and then our number is 8.71. And there's a little key. That's not an X, that's a times symbol. So again, same thing for this one. Is going to be to some power of 10. And because it's a large number, there'll be positive exponents. Again, we want to make this a number between 1 and 10. So there's 3, 6, 9, 10. So it's going to be 1.2 times 10 to the 10th. And again, this will be times 10 to a negative power, since we're moving it to the right. Small number, 1, 2, 3, 4, negative 4, decimal there, 3.1. All right, these numbers are now in scientific notation. Now to convert them back, I'm assuming that there should have been a dot there. Doesn't seem to be one, but that wouldn't be scientific notation if it didn't have a dot there. So I may be wrong, but let's assume there's a dot there. Okay, now what we need to do is move the decimal to the left 7 places. So there's 1, so I have to add 6 zeros. We don't count that one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's my 7, 8, 4. So it was here. I need to move it 7 places to the left. And now here I have to move it 6 places to the right. So I have here, there's 3. I have to move it 6. So I add 3 more zeros. And this one, again, there's 3, so I have to add 2 more zeros. There's 3 places. I need to move it 5. So that wasn't too bad. Now in this last part, they're asking us to use exponential rules to put our results in standard form. So we're going to multiply this by this and get this. And we are just going to add our exponents and get that. Now keep in mind, this is not in scientific notation. To put it in scientific notation, I'd have to move the decimal over 1 and add 1 here. So that, let's just do that. So that would be 4.27 times 10 to the 8th. But they really want us to put this in standard form, so we'll get back to that. Now again, when I take 2.7 and divide it by 9, I get 0.3. And when I bring up this negative 7, becomes a positive 7. And then I add, well, I do the subtraction. Negative 3 and a positive 7 gives me a 4. Again, this is not in scientific notation. If I wanted to put it in scientific, I'd have to move it over 1. But now I have to subtract 1 from that. So this would become 3.0 times 10 to the 3rd. Okay? This is now in scientific notation. Now, to do what we need to do, though, in my next step, you don't have to really change it. Because here, all you have to do now is add 7 places from there. Here, you would have to add 8 places from there. The answer comes out the same. So, it'll be 4, 2, 7. I've added 2. So now I have to add 6 zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And you can use commas if it helps you. do it. And then from either one, here I'm going to add 3 zeros, or 3 places. There's 1. So I have to add 2 more. So the answers come out the same. This is a good review of our little technique of scientific notation and standard form. And we are just at 15 minutes here.